Welcome back, friends, family, all the people who come to this channel. Thank you for joining us. Excuse me. Today, we have to first look at why it is that so much is going on in the background. You know, today the song that came to mind is very superstitious, coming from Stevie Wonder. And in that song, it talks about the breaking down of people's thoughts and the way in which they see things. Now, people are choosing to throw dirt on my name by stating that, that I'm doing things behind the scenes. You know, I'm only doing what I was asked to do. And what I was asked to do was basically to help people, to help change the cycle and the breaking down of a family. You know, this was a prayer that was supposed to be granted, but people try to work against you when you try to do the right thing. You cannot tell me or any of these people that God told you to steal money from someone's account, that God told you that when the person turned 18 they were supposed to get money, that you were supposed to take it for yourself. You cannot tell me that God would have people turn against each other. You know, it's almost like I remember years ago going south, and my mother was trying to explain to me how there was an individual in the family who could not walk upright. They had a lot of problems with their body, and they couldn't speak properly either. And people had different nicknames for the relative. And my mother said that a lot of that stuff came from the darkness that was going on in the family. And I didn't understand at the time what she was talking about, because I was just a child. I had no idea what she was talking about. But again, when the seeds are planted and you are a child and you look back, you remember certain things. And when you remember certain things, you make the necessary connections. Just as I'm sure in your family, same thing. Someone will plant the seed. They'll tell you certain things and you don't get it at the time. But later on, when you revisit the situation, the connection is then brought to the surface, God gave these people many chances to just repent, to clarify the problem. Instead, now people want to throw other people under the bus. You got a father figure who's throwing his wife and his ex-girlfriend's sister under the bus, saying it was their idea. They're the ones who started the whole situation, when he was the common denominator in all of it. If the child was not yours and you still claim the child, then the responsibility is on you. If you knew that the daughter was not yours, then why did you claim her? Why did you place it on the birth certificate? Is that birth certificate correct? Is it real? Is the passport real? Now that's another two questions. People came over with visas. Are the visas correct? When you look at the individuals, you look at how it all was brought upon in the first place. You got a person that they're claiming that from the UN, who they worked with behind the scenes. If people's names and circumstances are going to be placed on the table, you need to place the whole thing on the table. But most of all, did you ask permission from God when you decided to hurt these individuals? The incest that's been going on in the family for years and years, and yet you want to make the family seem to be perfect. Even the individuals who are sickly, who are getting ready to pass over, even those individuals know that they got to face God. And if you kept that secret, I don't care if you're the oldest person in the family, and you kept the secret, and you let all these people do the same doom to that one individual, or to many individuals, you are going to be placed under judgment as well. There are too many things that have happened in this family, and God has said enough. And when God said enough, and he started bringing people in to help fix the problem, And then you have other individuals. Jerome, you wanted to be a minister, and yet you're falling short just like the rest of them. You keep on following people. You think as though things are going to be corrected if you continue to follow the blind leading the blind. You got people here who were intimate with the same-sex people. And that's where a lot of stuff went wrong. Now, I'm not saying anything against anybody. I'm just saying in this situation, these people who came together did something and caused a whole catastrophe for a lot more people in their surroundings. You can't keep the same secrets when you are being sharing intimacy with other people. You know, it's almost like if you're intimate with a person and they've sinned, and you're going to share those same sins with that person. You are aware of that. There's a lot of things that people are not looking at spiritually. Now, you guys want to knock me down and say, you know, I'm not reading my Bible. I've read that Bible from cover to cover for years now. And there's certain things I'm not going to say I understand it perfectly, and I'm not saying that I am a total saint. You know, we all fall short of the glory of God. That's part of being human beings, right? But under no uncertain terms am I trying to throw dirt on somebody and I don't even know what their injustices were. You guys are assuming. You're assuming that somebody is guilty because you see the person coming up here on YouTube and explaining certain things. I'm giving you what I've been given. And I've been given the truth, so I'm passing the truth on to you. But if you continue to hurt each other, hurt me, trying to, you know, every time you try to come against me, you don't realize there's a backlash. You cannot, karmically speaking, when you hurt another person, something's coming back. I told you. I grew up fighting with Joe Jr. Fighting with him, every time I hit him, I hurt myself. That was God's way of showing me you cannot get away with hurting your brother. You know, people saying, okay, you might not be siblings at this point in time, and that's okay, but we grew up as siblings. There is a great deal going on here, you know. I was supposed to be the cycle breaker, and that's what I've been trying to do. But some people want things to stay the same. They think that they're going to be able to steal. God is changing things. That's why all this is happening. He's making changes so that you cannot get away with the same thing. You can't get away with unaliving people and stealing insurance money and getting away with it. You think you can live a lavish lifestyle by burying someone, hiding bodies so that nobody can find out who and how it all happened? It's all coming to the surface. Again, you cannot continue to get away with the same things. Laundering money. You know, you took money from someone else, and that person didn't make their money in a clean way either. But then you chose to take that money to try to make more money. It never goes as planned when you do it this way. If you earned your livelihood by the sweat of your brow, I don't know, what was Professor there for if he wasn't there to teach those lessons? I got the lessons. Maybe everybody who sat there didn't get the lessons. Just your youngest son is now going to have to reap a benefit that he never thought he would by getting away with things. You guys have been getting away with stuff all this time, and you think as though nothing is going to be compromised. Innocent children are now going to have to face this because their parents are not going to be there to fulfill their responsibility for getting involved in this. The sins of the father. Everybody going on. This is why they say it's a blessing when you find the right mate. Because if you find the right mate and you guys are successful, your children will be successful. You found a mate who wanted to get involved in trickery, get-rich scams, and now the children are going to have to, and the great-grandchildren are going to have to suffer. This would have been broken. All this would have been fixed. But now everybody wants to come together and to collude against other people And nobody wants their hands dirty, so now they're blaming the wrong people. I won't say the wrong people, because everybody who was involved. But now everybody's blaming everybody else. All of the fighting behind the scenes, all of the planning of how you're going to take the one person out. What was going on between 2005 and 2015? Or should I say 16, 17? Everybody knows what's going on. You keep on holding secrets. And then, of course, you blame Danica and say, oh, she's the one who was supposed to take the person and feed the person the poison. The person's supposed to be taken out. Well, we all know at this point in time that a lot of that was not successful. All these people's names coming up, you decided you wanted to speak to one person who I was talking to try to get that person to convince me to come to the family gathering, to really finish me off. You had two males there from the past. They were going to make a difference. I don't know what it's going to take, because at this point in time, you haven't asked for forgiveness and you're still carrying on. Since you think you're going to get a certain amount of money, you want to give more money in the offering to act like you're such a super Christian. All of these people coming together, you solved absolutely none of the problems. You've caused more confusion. And the poor children, the poor offspring that are going to have to suffer behind this. I thought we learned early on with another relative before. Whenever you collude and you commit all these crimes, the child that you love the most, the firstborn is usually one that's taken out. Everybody knows that certain sins, when you commit certain sins, it's a spiritual law being broken. And when certain spiritual laws are broken, I don't want to speak on things that I don't know about. I'm only speaking on things that we've all observed already. Great grandma said years ago, she said, look, God does not like a lot of things that are going on. And this child is going to be sacrificed behind what they're doing. She said a lot of different things and nobody was listening. I was listening. She said, the last person born, the last one out of the children, if he's not straightened out, if the time and attention is not given, what is going to be the outcome? Nobody wanted to listen. Nobody wanted to listen. And now he's following in his father's footsteps on certain things that he should never have been a part of this. He was one of the chosen ones. Professor and his wife loved that boy. They said he would have been the child that he would have looked like them if he had been born through them. Nobody's listening. Nobody's seeing all of this. Is a personal one out here. So some people are not going to be able to relate to this one. This one might be a little too personal, but we're going to get it out either way. It is important, mucho importante, that when we are going to help others, that we do it in an honest way. Whenever you decide you want to talk to family members and you want to talk about how you were going to unearth your first two children, you don't think that caused untrust? That caused people not to trust you even more so? You got to look at the crimes that you are participating in. In order to fix the problem, you have to look at what the solution is. The solution is to go in prayer and to ask for forgiveness. The solution would be to make peace. But if you continue to steal and buy a home overseas and take money and keep matriculating it in a negative way for people to commit more crimes, we can love all people. That's for sure. Love no matter. It said love the person and hate the sin, right? That's what it said. Even Anna, but her sitting up there and threatening her mother all the time, and people sitting there and watching that. Nobody straightening anything out, just allowing it. When Uncle David passed away, before he passed away, he took good care of those daughters. And he made sure everybody was acting all innocent. And Cynthia never said anything badly in front of him. She was trying to be a saint. But his family knew the truth. It's funny. His family knew everything that was going on, almost as though they were in the same house the whole time. His family knew, and they said when David went back to that household to be around his grandparents, and he got the truth that was not his father. There's so much of that going on. So many children in the family not knowing who their rightful parents are. Does that mean that more than one child was stolen and brought into this family? Because the truth is going to have to set somebody free here. There's too much of this going on. That ancestry line should be blowing up. Somebody should be buying all of it that they can buy to find out who everyone is, who everyone belongs to. Because there's no reason why all these people are in this family and not knowing the truth. People finding out later on who their real parents are. This is going on all around the world, but here, this family was supposed to specifically gain certain truths before certain ages, specifically so that all of this did not happen. But instead, people want to, when I first said to Aunt Shirley, I said, I was talking about the whole Kevin situation. And she said, just don't tell your father. I knew that more was going on. But it did not come to the surface. When she said, you can write all the books you want, but don't mention me in your books. That was another sign. People making all these hoodoo dolls, okay? The hoodoo doll she made, that she put in feces because she wanted people not to be in my presence. She wanted people to not see me as a person, but to want to not be around me. She did all of these different things you guys are doing, all these things you want to be calling spells. Speaking over people while they're sleeping. Now I know that the damage was done with some of the grandparents. We already know that. Some things were not fixed, and by you guys wanting to share certain ways of doing horrible things to the children. Buying books. You said, okay, this book is a book on the Psalms, a book of Psalms. And it had all these different spells in that book on how you can put a person's name in a freezer. It's horrible. You think you're not going to suffer behind these things that you're doing? This is so disappointing because I cannot believe that you guys will go this far. And this message is getting way longer than it should. But in all honesty, I think it's the blind leading the blind at this point. Because you guys are sitting up here directing new people, recruiting new people to be a part of something that should never have been in the first place. And you want to sit up here, you've been meeting at the church to have these meetings? Meeting in places that you have no business. And I said, forgive them, Father, for what they do. Forgive them, for they know not what they know. These are grown people making the same mistakes and bringing children into it. I apologized for the other day in regards to spanking a child, and now you took that same child and now you're trying to bring that child into it. They're going to be responsible for their own sins. And somehow, you cannot make things better if you are committing all these crimes and injustices and spiritual crimes at that. All right, you guys can meet up again next Saturday and try to come up with another plan on how you can unearth another individual. But there's more blood on your hands. Remember when Professor said, when a woman commits, what did he say? When a woman commits herself to having an abortion, that is blood on her hands. Well, these are not even abortions we're talking about with the blood on people's hands, you know? Uncle David could not survive in this family with all the stuff that was going on. You know, and then you guys got the nerve, you taught this too. I hope you guys are really thinking about what you've done, because this next cycle is not going to be better than the last one if you guys continue moving on in this way. You better make it right.